breakfast puppies?
This podcast contains adult language and content and is meant for mature audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
It is the future. In 1999, you are listening to The Glitterbois.
After much ado and many requests and much discussion in-house, we're finally moving ahead through the Rift's Dimension book series with book 2, Phase World.
Yeah, Phase World. So I had an idea in my head of what Phase World would be because I've never experienced it back in the day. And I don't know if it's my own unrealized expectations, but I don't know, man. Like it didn't strike me. I love the art. I loved the concept. I loved a lot of the words they used. The Cosmic Forge. Yes, go on about. Oh, okay. Phase World has a population of Earth circa 1980. Like it's not a big place. You know?
Okay. I think the issue that we're having here is that this is kitchen sink sci-fi. It is the Palladium's answer to things such as Warhammer. You know, you've got the dwarven fleets that are almost a direct carbon copy of the space dwarves. But then, you know, you've also got Star Wars happening here. We've got an evil empire. And then you got a little bit of Star Trek happening here with this, consortium of worlds. And it's as if they were like, we want to please everyone with a space opera setting that they can find chunks of to do their own thing in.
I mean, and when you go with unleash your imagination, you know, I get it. I get why they did that. But in an effort to copy all the voices, I feel like this book has no voice of its own. It doesn't have a vision of its own.
There's some substance to what you're saying here. I largely agree. I have had many fantastic fun adventures, both playing and GMing in Phase World, just using this and the second book that follows it, its little supplemental source book. And Phase World itself has become hugely popular in the Palladium fandom because they have books on all of the galaxies and the fleets and stuff. It is continually expanded upon, which is, you know, it's cool. It's nice to see them give something some long-term love. But yeah, it doesn't really have its own identity. It's kind of like pick an area and just stay there if you want an identity. Yeah. Otherwise, you should remember a few years back on our previous podcast, Have Movies Will Game, we watched a movie that all of us were actually really excited to see that turned out to be such a letdown. And that was Valerian and the City of a Thousand Worlds.
God, right? Yeah. Oh, yeah, that is this, isn't it?
It had so many fine components that should have made for an excellent film, but all of them thrown together without any kind of cohesive, backbone left it feeling lacking. And Phase World is the game that we would use if we were running a Valerian game in the Palladium system, if that says anything.
Like, it opens with the MacGuffin, the Cosmic Forge. Like, I expected suns and focusing beams, and it says here in black and white, the Cosmic Forge is used to explain anything that defies scientific or sorcerous explanations. So sorcery and, science with big air quotes around it are already big MacGuffins. This is Big Daddy Transformer MacGuffin that you can just use to explain the explanation of the unexplainable.
Oh man, let's start with this cover. What? I mean, it's a great piece. It's a great Kevin Long piece, but what about this cover has anything to do with the contents of the book within it?
I don't know.
Yeah, nothing.
I do know that I absolutely love the close-up of the monitor of the people falling off before they get eaten. I love that. It's a great piece of art.
I mean, it's a nice touch. There are lots of tiny little details in here. Like, you can look at each of the screens and see something. Like, I like the one that's looking at the dude's face. Just seems kind of interesting. and there's all kind of stuff in the background, and then it just seems like there's a whole lot of people marching to their death. But what's going on? Where is this? I guess we're supposed to assume this is in Center, the city that we're about to be introduced. But where? Why? What? What does this have to do with traveling through outer space? You know?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I do love the intro by CJ Carrera. And hopefully I'm saying that right. As we learned in our last episode, we don't say a lot of things right. But
okay. CJ, this is another great example of CJ being who he is, with a fantastic, wonderful, wandering imagination. And I have a feeling that the direction for this probably was very vague, maybe, or maybe it was, I don't know. It was either too unconstrained or too constrained, because we've seen CJ do some excellent stuff. Nightbane, South America, great stuff.
I want to say, I do think this is an excellent book, and I know we do this at the end, but I do think this should be part of your riffs arsenal. But like I don't, like, there's a couple of things that kind of threw me, and they threw me early on because they came at the beginning. Yeah, and that was one of the things. But I do want to do some positives here too, because I think this is a very valuable book.
Okay,
and I'm going to do that now. I'm sorry, my cat right here is in heat and is going meow. Like, no, go away.
It's great.
What I feel is some of the best parts of this book is the arms and equipment, is the spaceships, is all the beautiful future weapons, but it's not the races, it's not the society. And that's where it's weird for me, because usually that's the stuff I love the best in these books. But I don't know why I don't care. And I don't know why it didn't grab me.
Just as a little bit of foreshadowing, I have a sneaking suspicion you're going to like the Phase World source book more, because
I probably will.
The stuff that is expanded upon in the source book, I think, is a little bit more interesting than the baseline stuff that we get from this book. And you're right, like, there's no real feel to anything. I don't feel that the worlds are special. You know, like, okay, we got space wolfing, whatever, they're just wolfing, but in space. And we've got space psychics. They're just psychics, but in space.
And like the race it's all built around, the Prometheans, I just don't care.
Yeah, I don't get a feel for I don't think they're interesting. There are these all powerful things. Oh, we're these humble masters of the universe and whatever, but okay.
Well, caretakers of the first ones, but still, like their character design, their art is not, they just don't grab me. They look too base human, you know. There's just nothing about them that really screams to me.
Yeah, and yeah. I don't.
And how is the center of the universe 5 billion people? What the actual crap?
Oh, no. I think that's just in the city alone. Center is the city.
That's the planet.
Where?
Center.
I was just looking.
6 million 600 million inhabitants total in Center.
Oh, okay.
The planet has 5 billion. The center of the galaxy, like, I'm thinking this, like Foundation or Hive City or something, just like that. That's nothing. Center is an artificial mound a mile high, which isn't all that big. Yeah.
That just boils down to something which we've talked about before, which is
distance and
calculations of things that aren't mechanics. You know, I feel that the game math, in my opinion, is actually usually pretty good. But when it comes to things like distances or things that aren't really a mechanic, then suddenly it's just like word soup. Throw some numbers on a page and see what happens.
I feel like it could have been, because it's the 3 galaxies, right? That's the thing here. So it's like, like they really missed a chance to be like in the mighty echoing silence between the 3 galaxies. There is a point equidistant. A rogue planet circles that point, carrying no star. Eons ago, the forerunners or the creators or whatever your name for the first people in your setting are, created an artificial star. This place became the trading hub for all three galaxies, wherein, mighty cityplexes were built. 500 billion people live upon this magical nexus that exists in the darkest of voids between the three galaxies. It's like, no, this is just a place with a mile high thing that's, less tall than some mountains we have on Earth. It's not even a hive city by 40K standards.
Well, to be fair, they kind of already did something like that. The whole rogue planet with Wormwood, the book immediately before
that's
this.
True, yeah.
So I guess they didn't want to go there. It
just feels like a missed bet, and it feels smaller than it should be. But that's you can unleash your imagination. You can make it whatever you want. There is a ton in this book to be used, which is wonderful and valuable. But the setting itself, I kind of would have filed off the serial numbers and added my own spin to it.
Okay. All right. So I want to go over some things that I do like.
Mm-hmm.
I want to bring in some positive stuff. I like the non-powerful OCCs. I like the spacer. I like the galactic tracer. I also even really like the Phantom RCC. I like that their form is this weird, unfathomable geometric shape that's just really kind of cool to me.
And has been used for ghosts and spirits throughout most societies. Mm-hmm. I like that too.
And I like concepts of the phase powers. They are new and very interesting. They're also really fucking powerful. But I think that if used in moderation, or if used in one of those games where we're just going to go there, then it's fine. Mm-hmm. I like the gear. I really do. I've always really liked Palladium's gear, even when it's just Sega Master System light zapper. I love finally, this is the book where we actually learn details on Naruni Enterprises. We've been hearing of them for several books, and finally we get several pages dedicated to them, including a look at who they actually are with the true Naruni race. That's fascinating. And I love the repo bots. They're just like, somebody doesn't pay their bills, send a repo bot to break their legs. But then we've got, wolves in space.
And the Silverhawks.
Yeah.
Which is just straight filing off the serial numbers of the cartoon and putting them on the cover.
Yeah. The Noro are interesting, and I actually do like the concept of the Mystic Warrior.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember when we were talking about this, and then we sat down, we read it from cover to cover, and we're like, all right. In my brain, I was like, oh yeah, that's right, Phase World. I fucking love Phase World. And then the more I was reading through it, and I finally got to the end, and I realized, but everything that I loved about Phase World's in the next book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, like I said, there's a lot of stuff that I would love to carry forth. I love all the ships. I love the combats between them. I love all the rules that are given for that. There is a lot going on here. There is a whole bunch of adventures in here. There's a whole bunch of characters in here. This would be very easy to take a Serenity style game into a Traveler style game. This would be a very easy way to port in your favorite characters from Star Trek. I mean, it was done this way. There is a lot of ways to do this.
This is Palladium's version of Farscape.
Oh, yep. Wait a second. I may have to rethink here. I may have to rethink my stance. When seen through that lens, but it's not absurd like Farscape.
Again, the second book. I wish we had just read through both of them and done them together. The second book adds more of that stuff to it. Yeah. The absurd's not so much present in here. There's more of that to come. Yeah.
There are some things I absolutely love about it. I love the Mandalorian on page 40, who is the Galactic Tracer, which is a bounty hunter. Okay, I see that. And I think they missed a good bet on the very next one, which is the Space Pirate. They could have used Harlock right there, since That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
The Spacer OCC, there's a lot in here, and I love, for example, that there is a complete character sheet for each one in the back, but I don't like that they drew in it. I'm not a big fan of that.
People have talked about South America being an overpowered Rifts book.
Yeah. I read the Cosmic Knight in here.
Oh, no. We haven't even gotten to the Cosmic Knight yet. When we look at the Seljuk RCC, page 69
I'm on it.
and 70. The Seljuk are basically humanoid Tyrannosaurus Rexes. They have supernatural strength of 2d6 plus 40.
Oh.
Just,
Yeah,
the weakest member of their species has a higher PS than the table even goes in the core book.
Right.
Yeah. That's this kind of game. If you want, you can take it there. You can be like, I want to play people that punch starships, and you can do that.
I know some of this is my fault. I read an awful lot of things like Foundation and things that have to do with the concept of a center point of art and culture to a wide sphere of like a galaxy or 3 galaxies or a dimension. I love things where there is a center point that all the culture and wars and history of an area revolve around. And I wanted this to be that. And I know some of this is my fault because I have an internal vision of it, and this just didn't hit it. I think it's incredible. I really do, but I don't. So you say the next one's really got it all there?
It's got more character, I think. A little bit more personality to some of the creatures and the locations and the things that you can do. I'm still flipping through here. We got the requisite Starship Troopers bugs.
Yeah. Which I like. I mean, I love space bugs. Bugs from space. I'll be there for the film. I'll be there for the game. I'll be there for the cartoon. Bugs from space. I'm all about it.
And then we have what you had already mentioned, the Cosmonites.
I thought you were talking about the Pleasurer RCC.
Oh, well, yeah, the sex puppet.
The Paradise Federation.
Oh,
the 80s and 90s.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about some Cosmonite stuff here. Okay, here's everything you need to know about the Cosmonite and their first power. Resistance to energy. The Cosmonite's exposure to the transforming energies of the Cosmic Forge have granted their bodies near invulnerability to most forms of energy attacks. They are impervious to fire. All plasma, fire, and heat attacks, except magic fire, do no damage regardless of the mega damage they may inflict. The Knight can fly through the enveloping corona of a star or the center of a thermonuclear bomb without taking damage.
So their Achilles heel is, where's their silver? Where's their wolfsbane? Where's their garlic? Oh.
No. So apparently the balancing weakness is that they are paladins and they must strictly follow the code or they become fallen knights. However, fallen knights are still really fucking awesome.
I mean, they only regenerate 1d4 times 10 MDC per minute. The cosmic weapon, resistance to energy, superluminal flight. Oh, so they can just move it faster than light?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
The cosmic, I like, are these the Paladin Silver Surfers or?
This is the Silver Surfer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically.
As a player character.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a terrible idea.
I mean,
Palladium's not about balance, but and that's fine. But this is destabilizing. I would say, unless because it's almost too much. Like I don't see anything in the code that would keep this from in the hand of maybe a more inexperienced gamer not being an entire I'm sure this player character would have fun, but the folks around him may not as much.
Yeah.
I've never played it. So what was your experience with? Have you ever played in a party with a Cosmo Knight?
I was the Cosmo Knight in a party, and I actually, when I was a teenager, I was kind of a douche at times, and especially when it came to games, we'd just be like dicking around. But I decided I would play this one straight.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the party expected that they were going to rely on my character a whole lot more for fighting. So they all were like, oh, okay, we're going to make not as powerful characters. Somebody played a Seljuk, so he could hit real hard. But
yeah.
But the Cosmo Knight was expected to be like the number one enemy destroyer. And the GM kept putting us in situations where doing so was a bad idea for the Cosmo Knight.
Oh, good GM.
And also, I decided to role play with that, and I didn't fight it. I embraced it. I was like, no, I cannot summon my powers in this situation. These are just some stupid thugs. We're going to take them down. We'll have to arrest them and show them the errors of their ways. So
there's another 2 for you, Warden.
Well, I started filling up their cargo hold with prisoners. And I think by the time we finished one adventure, I had like 17 prisoners. And they were like, okay, we can't keep doing this. You got to go, dude.
The food and showers alone are going to bankrupt us, okay?
Yeah.
It just reminds me of that line from the Venture Brothers. Like, he just dropped them off in the yard and said, I have 2 more for you, Warden. I guess the dick had never heard of due process.
Yeah.
I could see it. The Fallen looks very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
If you never need to scratch. I don't know why people always do the spikes. I just don't.
Yeah.
I like the creating aliens tables.
Mm-hmm.
I think those are amazing.
If I remember correctly, these are right out of Aliens Unlimited or Heroes Unlimited. But yeah,
I'm very weak in that. That's near Heroes, right?
Yeah.
And
then we've got cool weapons, and
monsters,
psionic weapons, and phase weapons, and that really, really stupid looking psionic armor. Oh my God.
I don't know why they keep giving people bunny ears and then putting them in action poses. Kevin Long does that a lot.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work for me.
Anyway, and then we got the Silverhawk. Come on, really?
Mm-hmm.
Really? Okay, I could see. He probably was like, I'm going to put this in here as a nod to my favorite cartoon. Show.
I mean, also it's a great idea. Like it works. Powered personal, like a parasite craft. Why make a fighter with this inside, right? When you can just have this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, I get it, but it's really close.
And then some of these weird transforming things and the Katani vehicles, and
always love the Katani because they're always so strange.
They're very strange.
Like they're never what you'd expect from a human bioform. And I like that. I liked seeing all the different phases of the Katani. Mm-hmm. I always will see more of them and be happy.
Yep. And we have tanks. I love tanks.
Mm-hmm. I wish we had pictures of them.
That said, there's no pictures of them. And why do we have this many pages of tanks in a space game? I want more space.
Well, I mean, you have to take the planet. I like the space skills. I like I like the stuff on FLT, how it works, the different kinds of drives. I like the weapon systems, the space systems, like all that kind of stuff. I think adds a lot of flavor to it. Especially, you don't start with a party of Cosmo Knights and you're like, okay, well, we have a traitor and a pirate, and this is what we're off doing. And like, okay, well, this is what's going wrong with your ship. This is the impetus you need to get out there and adventure.
Mm-hmm. And then there's spaceships, and there's
the Rift projector cannon.
Yes, the Rift cannons are so cool.
You mean the wave motion gun?
Yeah. We're tired of this ship. We're just gonna boom, elemental plane of fire. There you go.
I like the broadswords. I love the fighters for NE. I really do.
Yeah. I like a lot of the ships. It's some interesting designs, and I feel that we are in the part of the book that I like the most. I like the ships, then I like the adventure seeds.
Yeah, and I also like the people that are that are given. The NPCs are great.
It creates a very interesting crew. You know, another show that this reminds me of is Lex. If you ever watched that,
I think Lex is adjacent. Yeah, definitely. And that kind of gets us to the end of the book. Yep. There's a whole bunch of stuff in there. I think it's my own expectations where I'm let down, because occasionally they hit so hard and so well, it becomes very easy to expect that from everything. But from what you're telling me, like, that still happens later in this particular setting.
The second book of Phase World, I think, it's half or less of the size of this one, and I feel like it has more character to it. Yeah, the source book. It's a great book. I actually haven't read any of the books beyond it, like any of the other Dimension books that take it further. I think the only other Dimension book I've read is one called Scrapers, and there's Manhunter too.
Yeah. Now, does this, one thing I think this is missing is a sense of how you will conduct your space battles. With all the listings and all the armaments, it seems cumbersome to do it in this way, which you would run as two characters fighting themselves.
Here's my thought on space battles, and it's my thought on battles of any kind. The only thing that you as a GM need to actually keep track of mechanically is the stuff that's in the players' faces. You don't have to roll for the other ships shooting each other. They should do what you want them to do. You just say what happens or describe it in a dramatic way. And maybe if the players have done something cool, you can take that into account and have it help out. But ultimately, rolling out a huge fight is boring. So the individual ship versus ship combat is what I think that this is best at. I don't know if they have more advanced combat rules. There is a book called Fleets of the Three Galaxies, and I would expect that probably has more.
I think it is playable as it sits. Like you can do it. That's just something I personally am into because I read, Honor Harrington, and I like, big fleet battles, and I'm a big fan of that kind of thing. There's probably easier ways to do it. You could lean over into Star Trek. You could probably look at some of the Star Wars miniature games. There's lots of ways you could pull this off if you didn't feel like doing all the crunch of this one.
Yep.
I know I sounded a little more down than I probably should have. I like this book. I do. I felt like it wasn't enough. It wasn't grand.
So this takes me back to something I've been mulling over, and I think I've mentioned it multiple times on the show, which is ideas of how to repackage, represent the Rift's components. And I think that Rifts could benefit from kind of a compartmentalized presentation of here's a book of Rift Earth. Here's a book of Rift Space, and not necessarily expect those books to be all encompassing, but to give GMs a world overview, some basic ideas, some concepts of dealing with the power levels that you might face in this, and then how to do the things that you might expect most to do within that setting. So instead of big ass lists of gear, it could be here's this section of the universe, here's this section of the universe, here's this section of the universe. Now here's how to fight those sections of the universe against each other.
Right.
And that's Rift Space, because Phase World is, for all intents and purposes, Rift Space.
Yeah.
There is the Mutants in Space book, but that's like a crossover with the TMNT rules and Rifts. And it's only just for the space in orbit around the Earth.
Yeah.
This takes it even further, and there could be more. There is more. There's more books coming.
There's 3 galaxies more.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like all of this is happening right outside the window of Earth, though. Like they say, all the satellites are down. You can't fly in space, you fool. But if you manage to break through all of the Archie murder satellites and make it past the moon, I like to think that all of this is waiting like right there, ready to go.
Oh, yeah, like some gigantic space cruiser that is the evil space cruiser equivalent of a gigantic Dodge Ram. It's just waiting there in space, ready to run you over.
I like to think like they've been trying to one of the mercantile houses have been trying to set up shop on Rift's Earth, and they keep getting repulsed by Archie satellites. And they're like, all right, well, we're just going to wait for you to run out of ammo. And
well, you're not that far off. The Naruni have that problem.
Yeah.
But it's not really Archie. It's they traveled dimensionally.
Yeah. If you finally get around, and just in a physical way, not like rift walking or getting like you would through Wormwood or some of the other places, but if you actually mechanically leave the planet and survive the barrier, I like to think that there's something from the Phase World lore waiting right outside that's been desperately trying to get in.
That would be cool. I mean, there are things out there. And when we get to mutants in orbit at some point, you'll learn what is floating in space around the Earth. Right. There is an Archie out there, Archie number 7. Yep. The Archie that works.
Right. So I came at this cold with no, I've read the book twice, but with no player knowledge, firsthand experience with it. From what I've seen, this is the next logical step of a high-powered campaign on Earth that has maybe moved to such a high level that they need a whole new power level above them. Like if you have managed not to die and you've all climbed through the ranks and you are just Coalition Carl Prosick, I have him skinned in my den. I mean, if you're at that level, then you do need something like this to move to. And I like that it's there. Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. Like if your walking stick is made of bits of Archie, yeah. And I think this gives you a logical conclusion. I remember in the old, very, very, very old D&D, where it was like basic, expert, masters, immortals. This feels like the immortals level of Rifts. It's like you've become a force of the universe now.
Yeah. I have zero disagreement with anything that you've just said.
Okay. Is it something you need on your shelf? I would say yes.
Yeah.
And that's even with my my griping, because what do you mean this guy is an Arthur C. Clarke and wrote Foundation, who is one of the grand masters of science fiction? That's my damage. Don't listen to me. This is good. This is a good, solid book.
So if you made it this far in the episode, you probably realize that this isn't hard sci-fi. This is the opposite.
Like they list the MacGuffin right at the very beginning.
Yes. Yes. Yep. This is Space Wizard sci-fi.
Oh, they missed a bet though, man, because this was still during the, when was this released? I just put the book up.
I want to say 96, but I could be wrong.
Dude, Spelljammer was still going. Where's the Spelljammer clone in this? Copyright 1994. Spelljammer
94.
Was still going.
Yeah.
Where's my bio things?
I mean, Spelljammer. Okay, you know what? Spelljammer wasn't popular. It really wasn't.
I loved it, but I'm still a nerd.
Some super nerds loved it. I loved it, but I realized it wasn't popular. It was so weird.
It was really weird.
The closest thing we got to Spelljammer here is the United Worlds of Warlock. I think probably some of them have flying boats.
Yeah.
But you could totally do it. It just seems like the setting where if you wanted to do that in Rifts, you could. And again, wait until we get to the next one, because I think you'll like it a lot more.
Yeah. I wanted this to hit me because it seemed, because I've heard how popular it was, like in our Discord, on the forums at Palladium Books, this is mentioned a lot. And yeah, I felt, just a hair let down. Just a little.
Oh, well, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's me. Anyway, should you still buy it? Yes,
Yep.
Absolutely, you should. I
Go get it.
highly recommend this book.
Yep. And there's still time to get those Christmas packages. So put it on your list when you order one.
Which you should absolutely be doing. And we're going to discuss why you should be doing things like that in depth in our very next episode.
Well, see you then, folks.
Bye.
Starships, magic, mystic martial arts, romance. All of these can be found in A Cloak of Blades by Isaac Scher. You might have heard my name before. I've done a lot of voiceover work for Breakfast Puppies. And I've recently released my first novel. It's available on Amazon as an ebook and paperback, and you can get it for free if you have a Kindle Unlimited subscription. I do hope you'll support my work as you're supporting Breakfast Puppies, and it's been a pleasure talking with you today. Have a good one.
You've been listening to The Glitterbois, a Palladium Books fan podcast. Glitterbois, Rifts, the Megaverse, and all other such topics are the property of Kevin Siembieda and Palladium Books. Please buy all their stuff and help keep them in print and making more games. You can order directly at palladiumbooks.com, and their entire catalog is available digitally at Drive-Thru RPG as well. Our opening music is 8-Bit Bass and Lead by Furby Guy from freesound.org. This closing music is Caravana by Philip Gross, available at freemusicarchive.org. All sound effects used are self-made or acquired via Creative Commons 0 license. If you like what you have heard, find us on Twitter and Facebook as The Glitterbois. That's BOIS. And check us out online at breakfastpuppies.com/glitterbois. And also join us on the Breakfast Puppies Network Discord at breakfastpuppies.com/discord. And if you want to help us out, please spread the word and help us build a community. Thanks again for listening. We'll catch you next time.